Just to vent anger for the poor student, my childhood sweetheart smashed my head with a brick. As blood flowed, he was busy comforting the sniveling poor student. A passing cleaning lady saved my life and sent me to the emergency room. My parents were stunned when they saw me covered in blood. The doctor said my brain was damaged and my memory would be affected. At the end of the corridor, my childhood sweetheart was still playing with the poor student. It's not a big deal, my family will pay for the medical expenses. You think paying the money makes it all right? I'm not putting up with this anymore. The next afternoon, Julian came to the hospital to see me with Serena and a large group of classmates. I lay in bed, my head wrapped in thick gauze, my head still throbbing. Hearing the footsteps, I thought he was here to apologize. Julian walked to the bed, frowned and glanced at me muttering, "Arya, isn't it a bit much to make such a fuss?" He actually said I was making a fuss? You think I'm faking illness to gain sympathy? Julian, do you have any conscience? I was trembling with anger. Serena hid behind Julian, peeking at me timidly. Several classmates whispered to each other. Is she really acting? Being hospitalized for such a small thing is a bit exaggerated. Arya is always so dramatic. My tears kept falling. How could these people say that about me? I almost died. Julian waved his hand impatiently when he saw me crying. Okay, stop crying. We're already giving you face by coming to see you. Serena then stepped forward, her eyes red and her voice trembling. Arya, it's all my fault. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have been hurt. As she spoke, she started to cry. Julian immediately patted her shoulder with heartache. Serena, this isn't your fault. Don't blame yourself. He turned to glare at me. Arya, look how scared you've made Serena. She's already timid. Why do you have to argue with her about anything? I couldn't believe my ears. He was the one who smashed my head with a brick, and now it was my fault? Serena took the opportunity to hug Julian's arm, crying with tears streaming down her face. Julian, I'm really scared. I don't want Arya to get hurt because of me. Julian gently patted her back. It's okay, Serena. This has nothing to do with you. These two are really too much. They're showing their affection in front of my hospital bed, and I have to watch? I closed my eyes, not wanting to see them anymore. You guys can leave. I want to rest. Julian snorted coldly. What are you pretending for? The doctor said there's nothing serious. You just want us to feel guilty. I suddenly opened my eyes. Julian, get out. The other students in the ward were startled by my words. Julian's face was ugly. Arya, don't be ungrateful. We came to see you with good intentions, and you're still throwing a tantrum? Serena tugged at his sleeve. Julian, let's go. Arya needs to rest. Her considerate appearance made me even more disgusted. Julian nodded. Let's go. We don't need to be humiliated here. They left in a large group. I lay in bed alone, tears streaming down my face. Julian had never treated me like this before. We grew up together. How could he hurt me like this for an outsider? The nurse came in to change my dressing and saw me crying uncontrollably. Little girl, don't cry. Your health is important. I wiped my tears and secretly vowed to make them pay. On the day I was discharged from the hospital, Julian came again. He hypocritically wanted to take me home. I originally wanted to refuse, but thinking that I still had something to make clear with him, I got into his car. As the car drove on the road, Julian said while driving, Arya, don't be angry with Serena. She's really innocent. I stared blankly out the window. Innocent? What is she innocent about? Her family's circumstances aren't good. She hasn't had a sense of security since she was little. You should be more understanding of her situation. I directly unbuckled my seatbelt. Stop the car. What are you doing? I said stop the car. Julian was startled and quickly stopped the car on the side of the road. I pushed open the car door and got out. Julian, from today onwards, don't come looking for me anymore. Arya, what are you doing? We grew up together. So, what if we grew up together? You only have Serena in your heart. Why are you still looking for me? I slammed the car door shut and left. Julian shouted behind me. Arya, don't be willful. Willful? I'm being willful? I quickened my pace, not wanting to hear his barking anymore. After returning to school, I began to deliberately avoid Julian and Serena. Julian realized that I was really ignoring him and began to take the initiative to find me. Arya, are you still angry? I didn't even lift my head and continued to do my homework. Arya, can we talk? I treated him like air. Arya, how long are you going to keep this up? I'm not keeping anything up, I just don't want to talk to you. Julian was stunned. Serena was jealous seeing Julian so worried about me. She started to say bad things about me behind my back. Arya has changed so much, she wasn't like this before. Maybe her head was smashed, her personality has changed. She's so arrogant now, she doesn't pay attention to anyone. Some classmates in the class started talking bad about me behind my back. I heard it, but I didn't care. What did their words amount to? I just needed to be myself. The cafeteria was bustling with people coming and going. I grabbed a tray and found a corner seat. I had only taken a couple of bites when Serena walked towards me with her tray. She was deliberately wobbling as she walked, and as she passed my table, she suddenly slipped. She screamed, and the tray in her hand landed directly on me. Hot soup spilled all over me, and the food splattered everywhere. My uniform was instantly dirty and covered in a foul smell. Serena immediately feigned a look of fear. Sister Arya, I'm so sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. Her voice trembled, and tears welled up in her eyes. The surrounding students gathered around to watch the scene. What happened? Serena spilled her food on Arya. Looks like an accident. I was covered in food and soup, sticky and uncomfortable. Serena continued to apologize insincerely. Sister Arya, I really didn't mean to. Please don't be angry, okay? I was just about to speak when Julian rushed over. Seeing the scene, he immediately blamed me without even finding out what had happened. Arya, why didn't you help Serena? Why would I help her? She was walking unsteadily with the tray. Why didn't you help when you saw her? The surrounding students quickly tried to defend me. She's the one who got splashed. But he didn't listen to a word, and I felt incredibly wronged. Julian, are you crazy? How is her falling down my fault? Serena is already timid. Your coldness will scare her. Serena cried even harder beside him. Brother Julian, don't blame Sister Arya. It was my own carelessness. Her aggrieved appearance made some of the onlookers sympathize with her. Serena is so pitiful. It was clearly an accident, and she's being treated coldly. Why is Arya so cold now? Maybe she thinks her family is rich and looks down on students from poor backgrounds. Listening to these comments, I trembled with anger. A bunch of idiots. It was clearly Serena's fault, but now it was my fault? I stood up, and the remaining soup in my tray dripped onto the floor from my clothes. Say whatever you want. I'm not dealing with this anymore. I swung my clothes, leaving both of them covered in soup. Julian shouted behind me. Arya, you stop right there. I didn't look back. Back in the dorm, I pushed open the door and was stunned. My closet had been ransacked, and all my clothes had been slashed to pieces. White uniform, pink sweater, blue jeans. Everything had become strips of shredded cloth, scattered on the floor. My roommate Mia sat on the bed, looking embarrassed. Arya, you're back. What happened here? I pointed to the shredded cloth on the floor. Mia stammered. It was Serena's friends who did it. What? They said they wanted to vent Serena's anger, and they came over while you were gone. Mia lowered her head. I wanted to stop them, but there were too many of them. I couldn't stop them by myself. I squatted down and picked up a piece of shredded cloth. This was my favorite sweater, a birthday gift from my mother. Now it's like this. I stood up, brushing the dust off my hands. Mia, who were they? I'm afraid to say. Tell me, I won't get you involved. Mia hesitated for a moment. Rebecca, Jessica, and Monica. I nodded, remembering these names in my mind. Since they want to play, I'll play with them to the end. The next day, I found Serena. She was chatting with some girls in the classroom. When she saw me coming, a look of panic flashed across her face. Serena, let's talk. Sister Arya, what's the matter? You know what I want to talk about. I looked her straight in the eyes. Serena feigned innocence. I don't know what you're talking about. Did you have my clothes cut up? What clothes? I don't understand. Serena shook her head, tears starting to well up in her eyes again. I sneered. Serena, stop pretending. Rebecca and the others have already confessed. Actually, Rebecca and the others hadn't said anything. I was just bluffing her. Sure enough, Serena's expression changed. I really don't know. You don't know? Then why did they say it was to vent your anger? Serena panicked, and tears streamed down her face. Sister Arya, I really didn't tell them to do that. They did it themselves. She suddenly stopped halfway through her sentence. Because Julian had arrived. He had heard the commotion and rushed over. Seeing Serena crying, he immediately stood in front of her protectively. Arya, are you bullying Serena again? I laughed in anger. Am I bullying her? Julian, open your eyes and see clearly who is bullying who. Julian looked at me disdainfully. Why have you become like this? You weren't like this before. Serena cried even harder in front of Julian. Brother Julian, Sister Arya said I had her clothes cut up, but I really didn't. What? Julian glared at me. Arya, how can you slander Serena like that? Slander? Julian, ask her if her friends went to my dorm yesterday. Even if they did, it doesn't mean Serena told them to. Julian's words made me utterly despair. No matter what I said, he wouldn't believe me. In his heart, Serena was a perfect little angel, and I was a venomous villain. More and more classmates gathered around, whispering. How could Arya say that about Serena? Serena is so kind. How could she do something like that? Is Arya jealous of Serena and Julian's good relationship? Listening to these discussions, the anger in my heart burned brighter and brighter. Seeing me isolated, Serena's eyes flashed with a hint of triumph, but she quickly put on a look of grievance. Brother Julian, I'm so scared. Why is Sister Arya doing this to me? Julian angrily warned me. Arya, I'm warning you. Don't bully Serena again, or we won't even be friends. Friends? Friends are good. Since I was little, I've treated him as the most important person, but in his heart, I'm not even worth a strand of Serena's hair. I slapped him across the face. The crisp sound of the slap echoed in the classroom, and everyone was stunned. Julian covered his face, looking at me in disbelief. You hit me. Julian, listen to me clearly. I pointed at Serena. She's the one who told Rebecca and the others to go to my dorm and slash my clothes. She's the one who deliberately spilled food on me in the cafeteria. She's the one who's been bad-mouthing me behind my back. My voice was trembling, but every word was clear. You don't believe me, right? Then I'll tell you what else she's done. I took a deep breath. She stole my wallet and took 100 yuan from it. She tore up my homework, causing me to be criticized by the teacher. She even put laxatives in my water cup. The surrounding classmates began to whisper. Really? Would Serena do something like that? Does Arya have any evidence? Serena's face grew paler and paler, and she frantically shook her head. No, I didn't do any of those things. She turned to Julian, teary-eyed. Brother Julian, you believe me, I really didn't do it. Julian looked at me, then at Serena, and ultimately chose to believe Serena. Arya, that's enough. How could someone as kind as Serena do these things? You're just making up these lies because you're jealous. I gave a bitter smile. Jealous? What am I jealous of? Jealous of her poor family? Jealous of her acting pitiful? You're jealous of Serena and me being close. Julian's words broke my heart completely. So in his heart, I was just such a petty person. I nodded. Okay, since that's what you think, then let's break off our relationship. I turned to the surrounding classmates. Everyone heard that. Julian said we're breaking off our relationship. From today onwards, Arya and Julian have no relationship whatsoever. Julian was stunned, probably not expecting me to be so resolute. Arya, that's not what I meant. Yes, it is what you meant. I interrupted him. Julian, remember what you said today. No matter what happens in the future, don't come looking for me. I turned and left, leaving a classroom full of people staring at each other. Serena cried her eyes out in Julian's arms. Brother Julian, it's all my fault. If it weren't for me, you and Sister Arya wouldn't have fallen out like this. Julian patted her back. It's not your fault. She's just too willful. I reached the door and paused upon hearing those words. Willful? I'm willful? From that day on, I was completely isolated. Serena and her friends often said sarcastic things in front of me. Some people just can't stand seeing others doing well. Yeah, they're clearly rich themselves, but they still have to bully poor students. That's really too much. They have no sympathy at all. Listening to these words, I felt suffocated, but I endured it and didn't lash out. Julian ignored me and became increasingly close to Serena. They often ate together and walked to and from school together, just like a couple. I watched it all, and my heart was filled with mixed emotions. When she wasn't paying attention, I sprinkled itching powder on her clothes. After putting on the clothes, Serena felt an unbearable itch all over her body, scratching herself frantically in the classroom, looking extremely disheveled. She went to the infirmary to get checked, but the doctor couldn't find a cause. I watched from the side, secretly gloating. This is the price you pay for bullying me. I also put a dead mouse in her backpack, scaring her into screaming. I poured glue on her desk, causing her books to stick together. I was very careful when doing these things, and I was never discovered. Serena was tormented by me, but she couldn't find any evidence, so she had to suffer in silence. Looking at her suffering, the resentment in my heart finally dissipated a little. Just when I thought things would continue like this, a transfer student named Adrian appeared. He transferred from the provincial capital, his family was very rich, and he was also handsome. He caused quite a stir on his first day in class. The teacher asked him to introduce himself, and he stood on the podium, his voice clear. "Hello everyone, my name is Adrian, and I'm very happy to become classmates with you." His gaze swept across the class and lingered on me for a moment. I was dozing at my desk, and feeling his gaze, I looked up at him. Adrian smiled at me. I was stunned for a moment, and then looked away. After class, Adrian walked to my desk. "Hello, I'm Adrian." I looked up at him. "I know, you just introduced yourself. What's your name?" "Aria." Adrian nodded. "A very beautiful name." I didn't reply and continued reading my book. Adrian wasn't awkward and left after standing next to me for a while. In the following days, I noticed Adrian looking at me frequently. During class, after class, while eating, he would always secretly look at me. I found it a little strange, but I didn't think much about it. Until that day at noon, Serena came to make trouble for me again. She deliberately stuck her foot out to trip me as I passed by. I wasn't prepared and fell directly to the ground. My knee was scraped raw and blood seeped out. Serena said, feigning concern, "Oh dear, Aria, how could you be so careless?" The surrounding classmates were all watching the spectacle, and no one came to help me up. I gritted my teeth and prepared to stand up on my own when a hand suddenly reached out in front of me. I looked up, and it was Adrian. "Are you okay?" His voice was very gentle, and his eyes were full of concern. I was stunned for a moment, then I took his hand and stood up. "Thank you." Adrian looked at my knee. "You're injured. I'll take you to the infirmary." "No need, I can go myself." "Don't be so stubborn." Adrian, without allowing me to refuse, supported me as we walked towards the infirmary. Serena's expression was ugly when she saw the scene. Julian was also in the crowd, and as he watched Adrian supporting me, a complex emotion flashed in his eyes. In the infirmary, the school doctor treated my wound. Adrian stayed by my side, constantly asking if it hurt. It had been a long time since anyone had cared about me like this. After the wound was treated, Adrian escorted me back to the classroom. On the way, he suddenly said, "Aria, why are you always alone?" I was taken aback. "What do you mean?" "I've been observing you for a few days and noticed that you always come and go alone and rarely interact with your classmates." I gave a wry smile. "Maybe I'm just not very sociable." "I don't think so." Adrian stopped and looked at me seriously. "I think they're not worthy of being your friends." A stranger actually said something so heartwarming. Everyone thought it was my problem, but he said it was other people's problems. "Why do you say that?" "Because I can tell, you're a very good person." Adrian's words were sincere. Those people pointing fingers at you just shows they have no vision. My eyes started to water. It had been a long time since anyone had affirmed me like this. From that day on, Adrian often looked for me to chat. He would sit across from me when I was eating alone. He would stand up for me when I was being bullied. He would accompany me on walks when I was in a bad mood. Gradually, I began to rely on his companionship. When Serena saw how good Adrian was to me, she was consumed with jealousy. She began to think of ways to frame Adrian. One day, she deliberately fell in front of Adrian and then falsely accused Adrian of pushing her. Adrian pushed me. She sat on the ground, crying her eyes out. Julian heard the commotion and rushed over. When he saw Serena crying on the ground, he immediately became angry. Adrian, why did you push Serena? Adrian frowned. I didn't push her, she fell on her own. You're still arguing. Serena is so kind, how could you bully her? Julian rolled up his sleeves, ready to fight Adrian. I quickly rushed over and stopped him. Julian, calm down. Arya, don't protect him. Julian pushed me away. He's bullying Serena, I can't stand it. Adrian's expression darkened when he saw me being pushed. Julian, you cannot believe me, but you can't push her. So what if I pushed her? She's protecting you. She's an accomplice. Adrian grabbed my hand. Arya, let's go. Stop. Julian blocked our way. Adrian, you have to apologize to Serena today. Why should I apologize for something I didn't do? Adrian's attitude was firm. The two boys confronted each other, and the atmosphere became increasingly tense. I watched the scene, feeling both moved and guilty. Adrian was suffering for me, and I couldn't do anything. Serena's scheme wasn't over yet. While I wasn't in the classroom, she secretly put the 200 yuan that the teacher had lost in my backpack. During class in the afternoon, she raised her hand and reported. Teacher, I saw Arya take the money from your desk. The whole class looked at me. I was at a loss. I didn't take the teacher's money. The teacher frowned. Arya, are you sure you didn't take it? I'm sure, teacher, I really didn't take it. Serena pretended to be in a difficult position. Teacher, I saw it with my own eyes. Arya took the money and put it in her backpack. The teacher's expression darkened. Arya, take out your backpack so we can check it. My heart skipped a beat. Even though I didn't take the money, Serena dared to say that, so she must have come prepared. I trembled as I took out my backpack and placed it on the podium. The teacher opened my backpack and rummaged through it. Soon, she found the 200 yuan. Arya, how do you explain this? The teacher's voice was stern. I looked at the 200 yuan and my mind went blank. Teacher, I didn't put it there, I really didn't take your money. The money is in your backpack, you still want to deny it? The teacher was very angry. Arya, I'm so disappointed in you. All the students looked at me with strange eyes, some began to whisper. Arya actually stole money. That's too much, the teacher is so good to her. I didn't think she was that kind of person. I felt unprecedented humiliation, and tears couldn't stop falling. Teacher, I really didn't take it, someone must be framing me. Framing? Who would frame you? The teacher didn't believe me. Arya, you should admit it when you do something wrong, don't make excuses. Serena secretly smiled in her seat, her eyes full of triumph. Julian watched coldly from the side and even said, Teacher, Arya usually likes to take small advantages. It's not surprising that she took your money. I looked at him in disbelief. We grew up together, don't you understand my character? The teacher decided to call my parents. Soon, my mom and dad rushed to the school. They looked very unhappy when they saw me standing on the podium. The teacher told them what happened. After listening, Dad glared at me fiercely. Arya, how could you do such a thing? Dad, I really didn't take the teacher's money. I explained, crying. Mom was also very angry. You're still denying it? The money is already in your backpack. She reprimanded me in front of the whole class. Arya, you've disappointed us so much. How do we teach you usually? I cried profusely, but no one believed me. Just then, Adrian stood up. Teacher, I believe Arya didn't take your money. The teacher looked at him. Adrian, do you have any evidence? I don't have any evidence, but I understand her character. Adrian's words were firm. Arya is not that kind of person. Serena panicked and quickly said, Adrian, don't protect her, I saw it with my own eyes. Adrian looked at her coldly. Are you sure you saw it? Of course I'm sure. Serena's words were certain, but a hint of panic flashed in her eyes. Adrian nodded. Since you're so sure, Then let's check the surveillance footage. Surveillance footage? Serena's face turned pale instantly. Feeling guilty, how dare she check the surveillance footage? The surveillance is broken. She stammered. Adrian sneered. The surveillance is broken? Then how did you see Arya taking the money? Serena was speechless, and tears began to fall. I just saw it. Adrian pressed on relentlessly. Where did you see it? What time did you see it? How did Arya take it? A series of questions completely flustered Serena. She answered stutteringly, incoherently. Adrian seized the opportunity. Teacher, I suggest retrieving the school's surveillance video to see what happened. The teacher nodded. Okay, let's go check the surveillance. Soon, the surveillance video was retrieved. The video recovery found the video, which clearly showed that Serena secretly put the money in my backpack while I wasn't there. Everyone was shocked to see the scene. The teacher's face was very ugly. Serena, how could you do such a thing? Serena was caught red-handed and could no longer deny it. She could only cry and admit. I'm sorry, teacher, I was wrong. She knelt on the ground, crying profusely. I'm just jealous of Arya, so I wanted to frame her. The teacher was trembling with anger. Serena, I'm so disappointed in you. The students also accused Serena. That's too much, actually framing a classmate. Serena usually pretends to be so kind. It turns out it's fake. Arya was wronged. The teacher apologized to me and my parents. I'm sorry, I misunderstood Arya. Mom and Dad were also very ashamed. Arya, I'm sorry, we shouldn't have not believed you. I wiped away my tears, feeling a mixture of emotions in my heart. Although the truth was revealed, the damage I suffered could not be undone. Adrian walked to my side and gently patted my shoulder. It's okay, the truth has come out. I looked at him, my eyes full of gratitude. Thank you for believing me. I said, I understand your character. Adrian's words were warm, and a warm current surged in my heart. Julian stood in the crowd, looking at me with a complicated expression. He probably didn't expect that Serena would do such a thing. Serena was disciplined by the school, and her reputation was completely ruined. Her friends began to distance themselves from her, unwilling to associate with her anymore. Julian also began to doubt her, no longer believing her unconditionally like before. I looked at Serena's desolate appearance, feeling no sympathy, only satisfaction. This is your punishment for framing me. From then on, my relationship with Adrian became better and better. He often chatted with me, ate with me, and went for walks with me. With his encouragement, I regained my confidence. Serena experienced a lot of mental stress because of framing me. She lived in fear and regret every day and ultimately couldn't bear it, attempting suicide at home with sleeping pills. Although she was saved, she suffered from aftereffects. Her intelligence was affected, and she became demented. Her parents cried bitterly, regretting not educating their daughter properly. Julian also began to break down after seeing Serena's fate. Later, I received an acceptance letter from my dream university and decided to go to the university town early to adjust to the environment. Before leaving, I saw Julian one last time. He knelt in front of me, weeping bitterly. Arya, I'm sorry, I was wrong, I was blind to hurt you. I looked at him calmly. Julian, I've already forgiven you, but if you ever appear in front of me again, I'll have someone take care of you. Julian had a mental breakdown from losing me. His grades plummeted, and he couldn't even get into college. After graduating from university, I was hired by a well-known company with a high salary and became a promising young professional. Julian eventually succumbed to long-term alcoholism and mental problems. His body collapsed, and he died alone in a rented apartment. After hearing the news of his death, I was silent for a second, and finally just sighed. Everything was his own doing. Adrian took my hand. Arya, the past is the past, we must look forward.